I'm a new agent. I just got my license last year, and so far I've closed 2 deals. I'm trying to get to a point where I want to close consistently. I want to hit one, two, three. Sorry, I want to hit 12 deals a year, and maybe 24, maybe 36.
Okay.
And so I'm in a position where I like want to consider some other brokerages, and I'm at the um commissions, splits, and caps, fees, part of doing my research. And so, like, if I just came to EXP, like, what does EXP have to offer when it comes to splits and capping and monthly fees?
This is one of the biggest reasons why agents make decisions on where they go. Their splits, if there's a cap, what are the fees involved? Okay. So I just want to set this precedent as I answer that question specific to EXP Realty. For most brokerages, talking about splits, fees, franchise fees, some of those items, that gives an agent the ability to say, here's one apple, let's compare it to the other apple. That's what most agents are trying to do, apples to apples comparison. And then they'll overlay it with maybe some of the additional training, resources, whatever special or unique that broker is going to offer them. The most beautiful office in the city, whatever.
Mhm.
When we dive into the numbers, a lot of agents, and I just want to make sure that this is clear because they're wanting to do an apple to apples comparison. And I think that's really smart. But when you come to an agent ownership type of real estate model, like EXP Realty, if you're just focused on the commission splits, caps, and fees, you are not comparing apples to apples because EXP Realty has a compensation model that is more robust and offers different types of income options for our agents. And I just want to make sure people are clear with that. We are still going to dive into the commission splits and fees and the whole nine yards, but I just need
Mhm.
people to understand this is not like any other brokerage where that is an apples to apples comparisons. Here at EXP
Mhm.
Realty, what we're about to do is compare an apple to an orange. So as long as we're clear about that, then let's dive into those metrics. But then there's other things that to consider to really make it one compensation plan versus another. But right now we're
Mm.
really narrowing that scope. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Cool.
100%. Do you want to create this like persona then? Like, so I want to say like this persona that needs training, support, maybe they're looking for leads. Like, is that what you mean to where it's like, okay, like this is 100% flat fee brokerage or whatever it is, and they offer XYZ compared to 80/20, and they're offering XYZ. That's why it's hard. It's not apples to apples. The one's
No,
offering trainings, one's not.
no,
Or
because I think that those overlays, even if we're just comparing the numbers, that would still be apples to apples on the numbers. And then the overlays or the other additional items can be added on and people can make a decision. What I mean
mm,
specific to the numbers here at EXP Realty is there's two major differences. All right. We have our splits, our fees. We have those things like any other company. But what other companies aren't offering the agents and most other models is the ability to acquire ownership in the brokerage through publicly traded stock. So not only does that mean you're an actual owner because you own shares of the company, of the
mhm,
brokerage, but because those shares are publicly traded, in our case on the NASDAQ, there is a direct dollar benefit. So if you don't include that, you're missing part of the overall compensation package of EXP. So that's
mm,
one. The second one
mhm,
is if an agent participates in the growth of the brokerage, then they will also be participating in a revenue sharing platform that EXP offers.
mm,
So if you don't incorporate that into the total compensation for the agent, they're not comparing apples to apples. That's what I
mm,
mean. So
mm.
for us to have a fully comprehensive lineup of one set of numbers versus the others, you're going to have to add those two into what EXP offers because that is their entire compensation package to the agent versus how much they're going to pay in splits and fees.
That makes sense.
So, but
Yeah.
today we're going to narrow that scope. We're just going to talk the splits. We're just going to talk the fees. So we'll keep it there. I just want to make sure people are clear. That is not the entire package here. So if that's the only thing that you're looking at, you're making a decision on false pretenses. That's all. Cool.
Yeah, I paused my I don't know if you can hear the dog. Sorry if you can.
No, I haven't.
Um,
No, we're good.
oh cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'll just cut that part out. Okay, so yeah, so that's what you meant by comparing apples to apples. So like, so now like, okay, so yeah, so now let's get into like the splits at EXP, the cap, what is cap, and then any monthly fees that come along with EXP.
Definitely. So EXP Realty offers all of our agents the same compensation package. So as an agent, you don't have to worry about, well, if I would have only negotiated harder, or if I would have had a better relationship with the person at the time, then I could have got a better deal. And if I don't go and ask, they're never going to offer it to me. That doesn't exist here. Everything
Mm,
is really fair because across the board, it's the same. Here at EXP Realty, every agent is on an 80-20 split.
mm,
So when they close a transaction, 20%, right, goes to the brokerage, and that's considered company dollar. The
mhm,
other good news here at EXP Realty is we have a cap. A cap is a cap on how much the brokerage will take from you on your 80-20 split. So they cap how much the company will take in company dollar. Once you hit a
mm,
certain amount here at EXP Realty, our cap is $16,000. So once you earn enough gross commission income and the 20% that you're paying to the brokerage, when that hits 16 grand, you are done paying a split to EXP Realty for that year. That's what a cap means. It's not a cap on the agent, it's a cap on the company of how much they would take from you on your split.
mm,
Okay.
mhm,
So because we're at an 80-20 split, roughly when an agent does about $80,000 in gross commission income, that means they've already paid $16,000 to EXP through their split company dollar. They will have capped at that point. Okay.
mhm, mhm,
Once an agent caps, then they transition over to more of a flat fee model here at EXP Realty, a 100% model. So instead of paying a split, they pay a flat fee of $250 per transaction. So that's the transactional fee once they've already capped. Now, every year your cap resets. Okay. So if it takes you 3 months to cap, great. You've got the rest of that year to enjoy the 100% model and continue to close deals. Okay. But every year on your anniversary date here at EXP, they reset your cap. Now, a cap is also not a quota. This is also really important to know. So if an agent only does 2 transactions, like the prototype of an agent you mentioned, and let's say they've only paid $10,000 towards a company cap, that does not mean at the end of the year, EXP is going to send them a bill or an invoice for the other 6 grand. They just never hit their
mm,
cap. Okay. So what
mm,
happens when their cap resets? They just go back to, okay, now it's a new year, new cap. Now you're going to close deals and cap once you do $16,000 in company dollar to EXP. Okay. So
mhm.
they're not going to get billed for the rest. They don't tack it on the next year. It just resets back to 16,000, whether you capped or you didn't. So 80-20 split,
Nice,
$16,000 cap.
nice.
Yep.
Um, are there any other fees that come along with?
With a transaction, and the answer is yes. Okay.
Mm,
So here at EXP Realty, we do have 2 additional costs that happen at the time of closing. One of them is a $25 broker review fee. This is what pays for our compliance team to manage your transaction on the back end. Okay. So this is a team of transactional experts. They're going to review your documents. What's great is you don't have to email or call or do any of that. Through the software that we use here at EXP Realty, it's SkySlope. So through the SkySlope software, they see everything that happens in your SkySlope account. When you add a new document to a file, based on your closing date, they can prioritize their workflow, but they're going to go and lay eyes on that document, make sure it was completed correctly, make sure that all signatures are done. They will know if documents are missing based on what's going on in the transaction. So they are your compliance team to make sure that when your transaction's done, it's compliant with the Department of Real Estate here in California or whatever governing body for whatever states or locales. So that's their role and their function. It's a $25 per transaction charge when you close.
Mhm.
Okay.
Nice.
The third and last item, if you will, so split, your transaction fee, which pays for the compliance. And then we have a risk management fee. This is the third one. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is basically your E&O insurance. This is done transactionally, though, $60 per closing, but that is capped at $750 per year. So you would never pay more than $750 per year for the E&O. And this is all on the residential side. Okay, this is residential we're talking about.
Hmm.
So when you close a deal, there's your split, there's your $25 broker review fee, and your $60 risk management, also known as E&O.
Nice.
Mhm. Nice and simple.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to make sure everyone's also abundantly clear about this here at EXP Realty. We are not a franchise. EXP Realty is one global brokerage across the world at this point. Okay. So that matters in two different ways. Number one, obviously, if we're not a franchise, you're not paying a franchise fee. So ours is a true 80-20 split. I know there's a lot of other companies out there that are a franchise model and they'll offer an agent an 80-20 split, and then they'll introduce the 6% franchise fee or the 8%
Hmm.
franchise fee. And so you can call it what you want, but that's not a real 80-20 split. Ours is a
Hmm.
true 80-20 split with the cap because there is no franchise fee to be spoken of. Okay.
Hmm.
So I want to make sure that's really clear for everybody. Now, the other reason why that really matters is not our scope today per se, but when we talked about the entire compensation model of EXP Realty and how you are, through selling real estate, able to grow your equity position in the brokerage, meaning you're earning more shares of stock that you own and control of EXP. Understand that you're not taking ownership of the local EXP office. You're not getting stocks in the California EXP or even the EXP of the United States. You are taking ownership and awarded stocks of the single brokerage of EXP across the world. That's what you have shares in. That's the ownership that you have. And I think it's really important because a lot of people maybe have some ownership opportunities in different brokerages, but that brokerage could be a franchise model, could even be a mom and pop, whatever it is. It's very dramatically different than having ownership in one single brokerage across the world.
Are there, didn't you say last time, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said that there's monthly fees
There is, yes.
that, yeah, what are those?
Yeah, so let's dive into the hard costs of EXP Realty. When you join EXP Realty, there is a sign up fee of $149. Okay.
Hmm.
When you start with EXP Realty, they're going to set up a bunch of accounts. And this is what's really going to point to the value proposition of the ongoing fee thereafter of $85. So we're going to get to that. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
When you first start, they're going to build out all of your profiles, make sure they build out all of these accounts to these different softwares and other tools that you're going to have available to you. They're also going to make sure that you have the initial set of um, marketing collateral that you're going to need. Okay. So $149 when you start here at EXP Realty. For month 2 and on, all of our agents pay $85 per month. Okay.
Hmm.
Here's what's included in that $85 a month. This is essentially our technology package for our agents. There's a myriad of them. Okay. But I'm going to hit on some of the major ones. Number one, all of our agents are given access to KV Core. KV Core is one of the best CRMs available in our industry. Okay. Our agents also have a different option if they want to choose that one as well. We're not going to touch that one right now. We're just going to speak to the KV Core option because it's already included in the $85 a month. Any agent can go and get KV Core. That system is so powerful, highly customizable, and you don't have to be with EXP to leverage KV Core. If you're not here at EXP Realty, KV Core can cost you upwards of $1,200 just to sign up and get set up. and then north of $500 per month. And if you're not with EXP Realty and you're looking for that powerful CRM, KV Core is worth every single penny. It's worth the sign up and it's worth the 500 plus per month. Because
Mm,
if you use that system, it will help you to scale your business and grow your production. It's that powerful. Here at EXP Realty, there is no sign up and it's included in the $85 per month. I know for
mm,
me personally, Cameron, that makes perfect simple math for me. Do I want to go
mhm,
spend 1200 to set up and 550 a month or just pay 85 bucks a month? Obviously, I want to just pay the $85 a month. I've already substantiated for me personally the $85 a month cost here at EXP Realty. Done
mhm,
and done.
mhm,
Now, I use my CRM, right? And I think every
mhm.
agent should. There's a lot of reasons why you need to leverage your CRM. That alone will help revolutionize someone's business if they're not doing so already. So
Mhm,
that's one item included in the $85 a month. We also use Skyslope, as I mentioned, transaction management software. It's stellar. It's included in the $85 a month. EXP has a meta office that our agents are able to use, meaning they get to go and engage with other agents, get over 60 hours of live training from some of the best agents across the country here at EXP. How do we know they're the best? Because of their transactional volume. They are considered icon agents here at EXP, and EXP incentivizes them to be willing to come and teach other agents in the niche or the way in which they're growing their business to replicate and do the same. Okay, so it's a really smart system to make sure our agents have the best training available from people who are relevant right now. Meaning it wasn't someone who sold a bunch of real estate in the 80s or 90s. It's people who are crushing it in this market right here.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
That alone, again, substantiates an $85 a month cost. And that's the, other additional item that I mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Finally, we are a cloud-based brokerage, right? EXP did something extremely brilliant though. We have a partnership with Regis. If anyone's not sure, Regis is basically this global conglomerate of short-term or temporary workspaces. So Regis, if you look it up, REGUS owns real estate across the world where they have these office locations that anyone can go and use. And EXP offers our agent a membership to Regis. So with that executive membership, I can literally show up to any city in America where there's a Regis and go and have brick and mortar to work from, to meet clients with, to operate my business from. That's included in the $85 a month here at EXP Realty. There's
Nice.
about 50 other items that we have, like Workplace. This is our company intranet. It's a Facebook product, Meta product through Facebook, which is an incredible platform to really streamline communication and collaboration with agents. We have referral networks in there that pass business along all day long. It's allowed me to change my business to where, for my clients, I am everything to them now. If you need
Mhm,
anything real estate related, you come to me because I don't care if it's in Hawaii, New Jersey, Colombia. I can help you because I have the network of agents that I can refer that business to, curate the right agent for them, and make sure they have a streamlined process to get taken care of no matter where they're at in the world.
mhm,
Again, all of these items are included for the single $85 a month cost.
mhm. Nice.
I think so. It's one of the easiest no-brainers in terms of, you know, cost versus value that I've ever experienced. And again,
Mhm.
we're a cloud-based brokerage, and yet I have more brick and mortar available to me than literally any other real estate company that exists.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah. Can can real estate agents negotiate commissions, like commission splits, when they walk into any brokerage? Can they go in there and be like, well, you know, because I mean, think about like a real estate agent in their first year, which isn't normal, like closing a good amount of deals, like let's say
Yeah.
like five, six deals, seven deals in their first year, and they're like, oh man, can they go into a brokerage and be like, no, like I want a 90-10? Can they
Sure.
do that?
Agents can go and ask for whatever they want, and most brokerages are willing to negotiate with them.
Hmm.
EXP has this exact same value proposition and offering for all their agents across the board. I've come to really appreciate that, because how many agents out there right now watching this video have a split with their brokerage, and if they were to go and tell their broker, I'm leaving tomorrow, they'd get a better deal? Do you really have to go and haggle on a consistent basis to get, what you deserve in terms of commissions? I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's really a good relationship to have. Well,
Yeah.
if you complain enough, maybe I'll give you more. Well, that means they always were capable of giving you more.
Hmm.
Here at EXP Realty, and again, we're still on the limited scope. We haven't even talked about the other two main drivers of the total compensation package.
Hmm.
But that alone, of knowing you don't have to come and fight, kick, and scream, and if you had a better relationship, would have argued more that they're gonna give you something a little bit better because their other friend, that they have a better relationship, because they have a better relationship, they got a better deal than you, doesn't happen here. But it can happen everywhere else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, what would be some questions to ask? So say this real estate agent that does close a couple deals being brand new, they are going around talking to brokerages. Like, what would be some good questions to ask to know how to compare apples and oranges?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think there's a couple of ones that I think are really, really helpful. So, if you're going to a different brokerage that is not agent ownership, like EXP Realty is, okay, the two questions to ask to at least give yourself an opportunity, if you're going to look at EXP Realty, so you can compare apples to apples and not an orange. Number one, at what point can I start receiving partial ownership in this brokerage? And number
Mm,
two, if I help the brokerage grow, will you compensate me for helping to bring more productive agents to this brokerage? Because those are the two other major aspects of EXP's compensation model to their agents that are not included in most other brokerages across the world. So
mm,
if you really want to compare apples to apples with EXP Realty, you're going to have to get answers to that.
yeah.
And even then, it's still not right. And I'll tell you why. Let's say you went to another franchise company. Okay. All of them are great companies, by the way. I'm not suggesting anyone's bad or wrong or any of those things. But let's say you went to one of the big box companies that we all know about, and they're a franchise, and you're killing it on the real estate side. And they said, you know what? To make sure we don't ever lose you, we would like to cut you in on some ownership of this brokerage. If it's a franchise, you're owning that office, maybe a portion of it.
Mm,
Okay.
hmm. Hmm.
That is not the same as earning shares of a global real estate brokerage. So even then, we're still not apples to apples, but at least we're getting closer. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And the second thing is, a lot of agents help attract other real estate agents to their office. It happens naturally.
Hmm.
We're doing a transaction and the other agent appreciates our professionalism or what have you. And they go, wow, you guys are pretty awesome over there at Century 21 or Keller Williams, right? And it's so natural for an agent to say, yeah, our office is amazing. You should come check it out. And then that person ends up joining that brokerage. They make a move to that
Hmm.
office.
Hmm.
The agents who initiate that referral to the agent to make a move to that company traditionally are not compensated at all.
Hmm.
Here at EXP Realty, we're positioned where if we do that, we can literally start earning income like a broker would. And what I
Mm,
love, Cameron, is people are like, well, that sounds pyramid like. That sounds like a pyramid scheme or what kind of multi-level marketing. And my question to everyone who has that perspective is, what do you think of the entire real estate industry then? Because that's how the real estate industry works. The difference between everyone else and EXP is, as an agent, we're cutting you in on the deal. They're not. So, I mean, it's all the same. It's just, do you want to have access to earn that income or do you not want to? If it makes you feel better, then don't. No
mhm,
problem. You can even be here at EXP Realty and not participate in that aspect of the total compensation package. I personally think that it makes a lot of sense. Most agents enter into the real estate business with a trajectory in mind, right? Start as a
mhm,
brand new agent, get to a certain number of deals. Man, then I want to learn to scale my business to build a team. At some point, I want to have a big productive team. Maybe at some point in my career, I want to actually open my own office or own a franchise or what have you. We're all trying to get to that same place. EXP Realty just decided we're going to put you in that place now
Mm.
without all the capital up front, without the risk of your license, without you needing to quote unquote earn it because you've been in the industry long enough. Just get over here and start building. Why
Mm-hmm.
not?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to stick to those are the other parts of the value proposition that if you're going to compare numbers, you have to get to. I'm not going to spend too
Mm-hmm.
much time there today, but that's the reason I'm bringing it up is because if you're just looking at splits and caps and fees, you're missing literally half of the compensation model that is offered here. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why people don't know about it is because it's not often offered out there in the world. So if you don't know what
Yeah.
questions asked, you're going to miss. You're going to miss the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do want to get right into questions because I think that's kind of like the basics of, uh, unless there's anything else you want to say about, EXP splits and their cap and monthly fees, but I think you like covered a majority of it.
We did. We
How to
covered it all
negotiate it.
because it's a really simple approach. 80-20
Yeah.
split, $16,000 cap. When you
Mm-hmm.
close a transaction here, there's two additional costs, okay? Number
Mm-hmm.
one is the transaction management fee. This is going to
Mm-hmm.
be the people on the back end who are making sure that you're compliant, pays
Mm-hmm.
for those compliance folk here at EXP Realty to review your contracts. That is $25 per closing. Then our E&O, our risk management fee, is $60 per closing. With a cap of $750, you'll never pay more than that. That's what happens when
Mm-hmm.
you close a deal. Once you've capped, then instead of the 20% of the brokerage, they're going to transition you to that 100% model with a flat fee of $250.
Mm-hmm.
Really clean and simple. When you start
Mm-hmm.
here, $149 to start, month number 2 and on, $85 a month. For that cost, you're going to get all of the value that we talked about in that agent technology package or agent system package.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, clean and simple.
Nice.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ready. Let's
Yeah.
dive into your questions. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Are you familiar, like, do you have experience with like team splits and stuff like that?
Sure.
Stuff
In
like that.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because some of these are about like joining teams and what they're getting. And
absolutely.
so, yeah. First question is what is your split if your broker gives you the lead? What is your split for a lead you generated? Do you have a cap where the split changes if you hit a certain amount? Been in the business for 2 years, about to start my third year on a 50-50 split with with a lead given to me, 60-40 for lead generated by me.
Okay.
Sold 6 million in 2022. Broker pays for everything when it comes to desk fees, TC, listing photos, advertising, etc. All I pay is my MLS dues.
Okay.
And their question is basically if you're on a team, what is your split?
So,
Hmm.
here at EXP Realty, any team, you would still work that out with the team leader. Okay. So
Mm,
let's just kind of visualize this for a moment. Everything that we've spoken about thus far is about the umbrella of EXP Realty and you coming to be an agent with EXP Realty.
hmm.
Below that layer could be a team within EXP Realty. Okay.
Hmm.
So if you come to EXP Realty, but with a team, then you and that team leader are going to essentially agree to any of the overlays of that team.
Hmm.
This person, for example, on your question, did a really good job of spelling out some of the value that the team offers to them and in juxtaposed to the cost that they're spending by being on the team. All
Hmm.
those things could be true here at EXP Realty just based on what they decide they want to work out with their team leader.
Hmm.
Now, for our team leaders, EXP Realty has a few different types of teams as well. And what that means is the type of team that you decide to plug into could mean you, as the team leader, could offer the agents on your team different caps.
Hmm.
Agents who are not on a team, or even if they are on a team, most agents here at EXP Realty are on a $16,000 cap. If
Hmm.
an agent came to a team and it's the type of team that's been set up with EXP Realty where they can offer them a half cap, then if you join that team, you could potentially take an $8,000 cap instead of 16. I know that sounds amazing, But there's a couple caveats there. Number one, that team leader at minimum has to charge you a 25% overlay of costs that you pay to the team leader in addition to EXP. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you did a transaction and earned a $10,000 commission, the team, obviously, as I mentioned, if you want an $8,000 cap, has to at least take 25%. Okay. So that's 2,500 bucks. The $7,500 that's still yours now gets the 80-20 split with EXP Realty. Does that make sense? So
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially taking 45% of your commission there and dividing it amongst people for the value of having a lesser cap. For some agent, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of agents, it doesn't make a lot of sense because when your cap is lowered, some of the other incentives, like the stock accumulation that we have, is based on a $16,000 cap. If your
Mm.
cap is lowered, it could change when you're awarded stocks.
Mm.
That's for a team leader, but there are different team types here at EXP Realty. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's mainly for our team leaders, right? That all that I just shared. It's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility though. If you're a mega team, you can even offer a $4,000 cap. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But to the agents that are on your team, all those things need to be worked out. A lot of them are volume driven, meaning if you're a team leader that does enough volume with your team, then you could qualify for some of these options. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
the agent on the team, this is still a personal question that they need to answer for themselves as far as what's the value I'm getting from this team versus what I'm willing to spend for the team. Okay.
Mm. Interesting.
Was that
Nice.
way too convoluted of an answer? Because I want to answer the question as thoroughly as possible.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you come over to EXP on a team with is still between you and your team leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I think you went into I believe like it helps like understanding that the difference between being on a team under EXP or even
Mhm.
under any brokerage and then just being, I want to say like a solo agent. It's like
Right.
knowing the difference and knowing how commission splits work. And so that's good. This is a so this is a I want to say a controversial one.
Let's go.
And so, yeah. And so, okay, so this person says, so I believe they're speaking to the companies like EXP that
Mhm.
have this revenue share model.
Yeah.
So it says, how do you share revenue before you pay expenses when the company isn't profitable? What happens to revenue share when the company isn't profitable? This model is not sustainable and it's only a matter of time before it implodes. Profit share is the way, not revenue share.
Yeah.
ABC company has been through this before. Not having office rent does not validate revenue share. Aren't you guys a tech company? Tech companies burn cash like crazy.
I don't know which brand they're referencing. If it is EXP Realty, here's the good news now.
Mm-hmm.
That question and argument used to cause concern for
Mm-hmm.
agents outside of EXP, inside of EXP Realty, but we've been around since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone watching this remembers, what did the market look like in 2009?
Woo, it was
The
terrible.
the dust wasn't even settled yet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
EXP started in that same time frame,
Mm,
which caused a lot of things to be really important for us. Number one, we built a model with a lot of lean efficiency in our processes. Number two, and this is the main reason why I bring this up, since then, we've become one of the biggest brokerages across the world.
mm-hmm.
And because we're publicly traded, that's no longer a question. You can go and see all of our public reportings of our earnings, our balance sheets. It's required of us to present that information. And again, we're traded on the NASDAQ. So the level of accuracy has to be spot on or someone's going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the good news is EXP's approach to revenue share is this: the company will always pay out exactly 50% of the revenue. So
Mm,
whatever they earn, 50% exactly will go out to the agents.
mm-hmm.
The other 50% is what the company gets to use for the company, right? because they knew those metrics, they built an entire business model that stayed within those means. Because we are a virtual cloud-based brokerage and we own the software that runs our meta office, that means that we don't have to worry about some of the fluctuation and the really high costs of brick and mortar. That's what this person's referencing. What
Mhm.
this person also missed the point of, though, is that if I have 50 different offices, each office probably needs some kind of broker or leadership, maybe a trainer, possibly transaction coordinators. Like they need people there to support those agents locally. When you run a meta office, you get to centralize those efforts. And I guess the moral of this story is you get to eliminate a lot of the fat in that regard. You
Mhm.
have the lean team that you need to support the agents that you need, and they can come in and get what they need in real time in a meta office, and you don't have overlap
Yep.
because it may not take the 50 different groups in those 50 offices to handle all those agents. But if you're still, you know, geographically contained, you're going to have to do a lot of replication and spend a lot of money you didn't have to spend.
Mhm.
There's a lot of reasons why our model makes so much sense, but the biggest response to that question is go look at our public filings and you will see that we are highly profitable even in this time, right? We are early 2024 with a
Mhm.
market that's been really starved of transactional volume and we're still paying a dividend this year. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
longer a question of theory, will this work? It's proven that it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that. So this is regarding commission splits.
Yep.
Um, they preface it by saying, I love my tiny brokerage. It's essentially just me, my broker, and a couple other agents who do less than five deals a year. I'm not even sure they do that. I just see their licenses on the wall. What I'm wondering is, what is a typical commission split? I've heard that a certain brokerages, it's based on a flat percentage no matter what, or where the leads come from. And at others, you retain all of your commission after you hit a certain earnings. I ask because even though I'm getting fed leads, the commission split is 50-50. I've gotten my own leads and it's still 50-50. And my broker gave me one of her clients and required a referral fee of 20% on top of the commission split of 50-50. Jeez. Is this a normal structure or am I being taken advantage of? I don't want to sacrifice future earnings even though I'm at a great place otherwise.
The reality is, Cameron, it'd be really unfair for me to say that they're getting taken advantage of. And here's
Mm,
why. If they're getting the quality of lead, that's not even a lead, it's more of an appointment or a transaction to go and perform.
hmm
And if that agent has not developed or knows how to create a consistent enough amount of volume in terms of lead flow, and transactions, then 50-50 might be a deal of a lifetime. Because if they don't have it, they may not have any income at all.
hmm
On the flip side, if this agent is doing a lot of volume or significantly more than the leads that they're being fed from their own due diligence and work, then they could be getting completely ripped off in that model.
mm,
There's just not enough information to truly say in this case. Um, I don't think it's fair to look at someone's split and go, oh, yeah, you're getting taken advantage of. There's so
hmm
much more at play to really answer that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that often too in like Facebook groups and stuff like that. They basically post their scenario and then you see all of these, like I'm assuming they're brokers and, real estate agents giving their input on it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wait a second, they're not giving you the whole, picture of what's going on. And so, how could you really give them a really good advice on their situation because you don't really know. Like you don't know the training they're getting. You don't know the is the brokerage handling the marketing? It's like you don't know the trade-offs in their certain situation. And so, yeah, it's very hard to give advice in that.
It is, and it's so easy for people to act like they know it all and just based on a stat like the split,
hmm
lay their opinion as to whether or not someone's being ripped off. And in most
Yeah.
cases, they have no way of knowing because there's so much more at play to truly answer that question.
I'm just gonna wait until my dog stops barking.
No worries.
Um,
It's
That's
really
insane.
not as loud as you might think it is. I don't really hear it at all.
Yeah. Well, because it's like it's I think it's kind of like a personal thing because I'm trying to talk and think, and like
Mm,
every time I hear him bark, like because I can see it's the FedEx or whoever it is,
yeah.
and it's like he just barks
It's just
uncontrollably.
that little amount of attention that's required. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, and especially when I'm on like podcasts or whatever, I'm like wondering like, can they hear it? And I know they can hear it because when I edit my podcast, I hear them in the background. It is like faint, but when you have earphones in, because I listen to all my podcasts when I'm going to the gym.
You can pick it
Yeah,
up better. Got it.
I can hear them. And so I'm like, God damn it. Okay, so this one, I'm a newer agent, under a year. I
Hmm.
have a couple of closings, but not every month, and I'm still losing money to try to make money. I just received an email from my brokerage saying they are going to not only increase desk fees come January 1st, so I'm assuming this is last year. They are going to charge a monthly fee every month. I do not have a closing until my desk fee is met. Yeah. They already charge a high split plus a mentor rate the first year. I have a fairly good relationship with the managing broker and the broker owner that I would like to keep, and am open to going to a new brokerage. Um, Thanks in advance for any wisdom, commiseration, and advice.
Yeah. So I mean, not really a question there.
Hmm.
Definitely just laying it out there for people to maybe give their honest feedback to. And my concern is always this: if that level of change is required for the brokerage to maybe maintain
Hmm.
or stay open, um, that's very concerning
Hmm.
because if they're not able to sustain, their expenses during a time like this, when again, we're talking early 2024 when transactional volume across the country has been at like a 30-year low.
Hmm.
Okay. And, you know, there's agents that are still out there crushing it. A lot of people are feeling this lack of volume, if you will. But at the end of the day, that's the ebb and flow of real estate. Okay.
Hmm.
Agents feel that all the time. Brokerages, if they don't know how to make sure they run lean and mean and have the ability to adjust during this time, then you might experience what this person is, where they go, well, guess what, agent? You're going to pay us more money.
Hmm.
And that's a challenge, but it's not only a challenge in the short term as far as the next transaction for this agent, it really should cause the question for them over the long haul: what does this really mean? Is this
Hmm.
the right leadership that I'm attached to?
Yeah.
That's a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you think about it, it makes you ask the question of like, wait, why are they just raising fees out of nowhere? And so like what's going on to what caused them to be like, you know what, we need to start raising fees. And so like yeah, that I could see how that could be concerning
I
on
would
most
also
agents'
say
part.
this: it's really concerning because don't think for a minute that the leadership of that office didn't consider the amount of attrition that may happen by raising fees.
Mm,
And yet, this was still the better alternative.
mm-hmm. Yep.
In my
Yep.
opinion, that's a little concerning. Some
Yeah.
companies have to adjust, man. It's just the way that it is. But if it's that
Mm,
significant and they're already charging a high split and a mentor fee, that's where it's like, man, I don't know how much more they can continue to take before their entire model doesn't work. Cameron, this is true of a lot of brokerages out there, smaller ones, even franchises. This is the challenge with a lot of brokerages out there, like your flat fee, your franchise models, where they're running out of ways to differentiate themselves. There's not a lot more value they can pour in, especially in a market like this. So it tends to be a race to the bottom, meaning,
mm-hmm.
well, I'll just charge less. I'll charge less. And a lot of companies got privy to the idea of, well, how about we very strongly suggest that our producers use our escrow company or any other affiliated businesses with that office that can basically mean the real estate side can run in the red because the other affiliates can run in the black to offset the loss on the real estate side.
Mm-hmm.
those models are extremely frightening in my opinion because all it takes is a small dip in production like the entire market is experiencing now. It's just not happening as often
Hmm.
to make that entire thing shut down.
Hmm. Yep, that's
So,
true.
yeah, so that's where agents really need to make sure they're clear um, that they're working with a brokerage that's not going to be gone tomorrow. Here's what's a
Mhm.
challenge though. If it's a franchise, if it's a smaller brokerage, no one has to show you their balance sheets. No one has to show you the back end of how that brokerage is operating. We're lucky because we're publicly traded. So it is required in our case. In a
Mhm.
lot of other companies, it's not. Even
Yeah.
big, massive names that people know, if it is not publicly traded, then they are not obligated to disclose that information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So this person put, I would like to get some advice from the realtor network. I currently work for a boutique brokerage.
Mhm.
The training is decent. I'm at 100% commission, but the lead gen is basically non-existent. The CRM is complicated, and I'm considering a change. I found a brokerage I like and feel will work for me. I'd start there at 65% split with potential to cap at only 80%. However, they pay for all of the marketing. Their CRM seems amazing. Lead gen is paid for. They pay for postcards and ad boosts, pay postage for mailers, and have offices all over. Am I overthinking this? Is it worth the switch?
I'm going to be brutally honest about my opinion in this dynamic.
Hmm.
This is an agent who is asking for fish and is not looking for ways to learn how to fish.
Mm.
The training is great or the training's good, but the lead generation's non-existent. I can't take the first part of what he said seriously then. If
Hmm.
you're being trained and it's not allowing you to go build and fish on your own or produce your own opportunities, then I question what kind of training that is. Or I question that person's real focus in building a real estate business.
Mm.
I'm hearing someone who just wants to be fed real estate transactions. And that should come at a pretty hefty price, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah.
Because if it was just about doing the transactions, real estate would be easy for 90% of us.
Hmm.
But if you're going to be out here in an entrepreneurial venture like selling real estate, that means you're everything from the janitor to the CEO. And I still look at things like this. The extremity is there's marketers and then there's practitioners. Okay.
Hmm.
Marketers win. We got to go out there and put in the work to build our own pipeline of business. You better darn well be a great practitioner too, because all of this could fall apart if you can't deliver at the same
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
But if you just want to be a practitioner, you're either going to pay a lot of money or you might want to go work for a builder because you just want to be fed the
Hmm.
transactions.
Yeah. Which do you feel that like, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the industry, I feel like 90%, maybe 90% plus of real estate agents are in that category to where they're not entrepreneurial, they're not trying to build businesses. They want to be a real estate agent, which is basically let me, pass me some business. I'm going to help this people get into the home or I'm going to help them sell a home.
And I'm not suggesting that there's not a place for those people at all. I'm not suggesting that. But this is
Hmm.
where you are going to find yourself on a team because the team
Hmm.
leader is the one doing all that other work to produce those opportunities and they should be compensated for that so
Yep.
that you can just go about not worrying about where your next deal is going to come from. It's going to be handed to you
Hmm.
and you're going to pay hefty at the closing table because all you had to do was work the deal.
Yep.
Um, and hey, the team leader wants you there too because that's their business model. So there's a
Hmm.
place there for everyone in that regard. What I find is there's a lot of agents who fall into that because they were never taught the right way how to
Hmm.
be both.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
remember, great real estate agents, people are crushing it, even team leaders. Asking them to also be a great educator is asking a lot. Just because someone can sell ice to an Eskimo does not mean they can teach you to do the same. Different
Mm-hmm.
skill set.
Yep.
That's where things get really challenging because people think, oh, I know, I'll just have proximity to success. But that's not necessarily going to help you create the skills, the know-how, the blueprint to go and duplicate those results.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But there's a behind for every seat, as someone once said it to me. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not to say you're wrong or bad if you just want to do deals, but just know it's going to come at a cost. And it
Mhm.
may mean you work for a builder and you never get weekends off and you get paid like a stipend until you close deals. And it's not going to be the same as being a regular agent out here in the real world, or I should say on the
Mhm.
resale side. Or it means that you're going to work with a team leader who's going to be a rainmaker and give you opportunities, but you're going to pay them a hefty split at closing because all you had to do is work the deal. And they
Mhm.
love you for that because that's their model and it's your model. And if that's the alignment, rock and roll.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 Um, I was gonna ask a question regarding the teams and well, yeah, let me ask this. Like, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but it's just like you just sparked the thought. Do you think like for a newer agent who is trying to get things going for their business, like what's your thoughts on joining a team and like to and I want to say like a team, like they're busy, like they're doing their thing, they have their systems in order, they have their lead gen going, they have all of their SOPs, if you will,
Mhm.
and then you get integrated into that. It is a really high split, 50-50 maybe, or whatever it may be. And but like, what are your thoughts on doing that just to start out, just to see how everything works and operates, not only on the business side, but then what the consumers are demanding of you?
Yeah. I think that there could be definitely some benefit there, a substantial amount. I think that the agent's goals really need to be dialed in so they know if that environment is right for them.
Mm,
Um, here's what I mean by that. You can start on a team, but if your goal is to ultimately find yourself on your own team, um, there's going to have to be some deprogramming and a whole lot of effort to make sure that you can operate outside of the team thereafter. Because if that team's keeping you really busy doing deals, working the leads that they provided, you're going to have to figure out how you get yourself to that position.
mm,
And you might need to figure that out by going cold turkey because now you're on your own and you got to figure that out quick.
mm,
So what I'm suggesting is that if the agent's goals are in line with the team, great, knock yourself out. And I there's a lot of reason why I think that could be extremely valuable. I've
mm,
always been of the opinion that the best way to learn is by doing. So a lot of agents want to know everything about the transaction, have every checklist, and what if this happens, then what? But the truth is, they're going to learn far faster, and I think with a lot more stickiness of their learning by being in the middle of a transaction where it's like I have to know now. If I don't know what to do next, then I'm failing my client. The transaction won't move forward. It's no longer like, well, I'd like to know how this works. It's I have to know how this works. And I
mm,
think that there's a really important way in which people absorb and retain information that way. So I'm a believer in that. I want people in transactions with the right support and the right people around them to make sure that they can't fail their client more than anything else. We owe that
mm,
to our consumers. But I think that agents will learn a lot better, a lot faster that way than just hearing in classroom style settings 1,000 times over how to manage a transaction because they don't
yeah.
need to actually know. And they're not learning from a place of experience. When they're in the middle of the transaction, they're experiencing it and they're applying the knowledge.
Mm,
Far superior learning. That's one
right.
reason why a team could be super helpful for an agent. But let me tell you why it also can concern me based on the agent's goals over the long haul of their career.
Mm,
Um, in our last market crash, the 2000, 9, 10, 11s, I sold a lot of bank owned properties. And I was actually the national trainer of that brokerage teaching agents how to manage REOs.
Mm-hmm.
everything from accepting an assignment, navigating cash for keys, the marketing aspect. In the REO side of things, it's like relocation. A lot of institutional clients really have a very specific process that they do not want agents to deviate from. What that does, though, it puts the agent in a position where they're almost like a task manager or they're like an employee, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
assigned a task. That task has to be done within that specified period of time, preferably earlier, or they'll lose the listing, as an example. I've worked with so many agents in that other brokerage where, as the REO started to go away after years, those agents really started to lose themselves because they thought, I've built up now my entire career around the REO asset. I'm a great task manager. I do BPOs better than anyone. I know how to negotiate cash for keys. Like, just give me more of these REOs because I know exactly what to do, how to do it. I know what pictures to take. I know how to complete the assignment in the software so that the asset manager's happy. And those are all great things,
Mm-hmm.
but they forgot how to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And it took years of helping those agents figure out how to hunt again and create their own business. The good news is when we still had some of those REOs left, it was a simple, but still difficult for them, but it was simple. It wasn't easy, it was simple. It was a simple path of turning that one REO into 4 and 5 other opportunities and pieces of business.
Mm-hmm.
But so many agents who are in an environment where they're fed the opportunities either never learn how to or forget what it means to go out there and hunt on their own. So as long as
Mm-hmm.
someone's really clear about that and can leverage the team for their ramp up, their growth, that's great. But if your ultimate goal is not to be on the team, don't lose your will and your
Mm-hmm.
understanding of what it means to go out there and hunt for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff. The last question is a short question, but
Sure.
seen this question multiple times. And you may have answered it a little bit. We may have like danced around the answer to this question. But what is a fair commission split for a new real estate agent at a new brokerage?
Hmm.
Is 50-50 the best a new agent can do?
No, that's the simple answer to that. It's not the best that they can do
Mm-hmm.
as far as a split goes.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, is 50-50 the best for that agent? I don't know because I don't know what it comes with. It
Mm-hmm.
may come with some superior training. Like, I put together a program after I've been in the business 20 years next month, which is nuts. I've
Mm-hmm.
taken my entire career, poured it into a program called 0 to 6 figures in 20 weeks. I'm basically taking an agent through 20 weeks of training so that they will get 5 years of experience within that 4 month period.
Mm-hmm.
Every checklist that I've created on my own, every script that I use, every process that I've built out, every template of a presentation, they're given in my program. Would it be fair for me to charge someone 50-50 to go through that if I was running it that way? The answer is absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're getting a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it, by the way, I'm not running it that way. I'm just saying if that were my situation and I was doing it based on a split, there you go. I think that would be totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if that brokerage is providing enough value to offset that cost, then yeah, that's a great situation. There's a lot of brokerages out there that even if they offered you 90-10 as a brand new agent, you should run away. It's not just about the number, it's about the value, the opportunities, the growth, the leadership, the support. There's more into it than just the sheer numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
also going to answer this one other thing because I think it speaks to the numbers, because that's what this is really about, right? Comparing
Mm-hmm.
numbers. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's fair?
Exactly what's fair.
What's
And I think a lot of what agents, once they've kind of um, figure out their own approach and really have established their own book of business as a real estate professional, obviously we all still want to grow. We all still want to do more volume. But if an agent knows that they can stand on their own, then I think that answer becomes a lot clearer because most brokerages have very similar offerings. Okay. Not saying they're all the
Mm,
same, but like usually it's like, okay, well, this office has a similar split, but their KV Core system is far superior than the other CRM I had. So they can start to see the value in easier ways to, um, compare. When it comes to EXP Realty, I think it's important for agents to understand how this entire model came to be. There are other models that are trying to duplicate what EXP did. And I think it's beautiful because I personally believe that Glenn Sanford in creating EXP in a cloud-based agent ownership model changed the industry forever.
mhm,
And now that we're starting to see, similar models, I think speaks to that fact. That's a good thing. It's leveling up the entire industry, in my opinion.
mhm,
But I think it's important for agents to know how this happened. Okay. Glenn Sanford actually owned several franchises, like a franchise, but several offices of a franchise when the market crashed.
mhm,
And they had these big, beautiful buildings. And he was looking around going, man, this is insane. The real estate world is crumbling in front of his face. And they have these big, beautiful offices with this massive amount of overhead and no agents inside because they're all at home. A lot of them didn't even have the money to pay for gas to show up to the office.
mhm,
And that really triggered a thought for him. And Glenn Sanford's a brilliant man, by the way. Like he helped create with AOL, if I'm not mistaken, like some of the first online lead generation when we're still on dial up. Okay. So this
mhm,
guy's brilliant.
mhm,
But in that moment, when he's looking around his empty offices and the real estate world is crumbling, he thought to himself, there's a flaw in our approach to real estate in general. He also noticed agents who had done millions of dollars annually in commissions literally on the brink of going bankrupt.
mhm,
And so it caused him to go, there's not only a flaw in how we're running on the brokerage side, but in how we look at our agents. Like being a real estate agent, there's something wrong here when a lot of times your retirement plan is, I hope I close a really big deal before I'm done. They go through an entire career. This is his methodology or mentality at the time, doing
mhm,
so much and not getting compensated until the end of a successful transaction. And then to go through an entire career and have nothing to show for it, something's wrong. Okay.
mhm,
So what he decided was, being a technology forward person, as I talked about with lead generation back in the dial up days, he thought, there's a new way to structure real estate and I need to figure it out. So when he approached the cloud-based idea, then he really looked at the margins and thought, okay, just by being cloud-based, our margins are ridiculous
mhm,
versus any other brokerage that's out there. So I could become extremely wealthy by running this model, or I can impact the way real estate's done over the entire world by bringing the agent in on some of these margins. And he opted for the latter. He wanted to solve that problem of the real estate practitioner going through a career and not really having a ton to show for it in a lot of cases, in most cases. So that's where he decided, we can help each other here. With these amount of margins, I can build an agent ownership type of brokerage where the agents can actually own a piece of this with me. And if they help me grow it, then they can be compensated like a broker owner would. Hey, agents out there in the world, if you don't know this, every real estate brokerage recruits,
mhm,
all of them, since before you were an agent. That I can guarantee you. In the brokerage side of the real estate industry, there is a saying out there: recruiting solves all ills. And that's something that the industry says on the brokerage side of things. And what does that mean? That means if a brokerage is constantly recruiting, it's going to solve their problems. Now, Cameron, I think you and I would disagree with the premise of that in a lot of ways, but
mhm.
Agents who are out there like, oh, that's what caused EXP to be a recruiting company. Guys, every real estate brokerage is a recruiting brokerage. Sorry to break it to you. The reason why they're empowering you with these really funky ways to look at our model is because they are scared of it. Because if they allowed you to see it without all these filters, you would see it superior. At least that's my opinion.
Mhm.
Because again, all the other brokerages have that ability to recruit and get paid when agents close deals. That's why people become broker owners. That's why team leaders become team leaders, because they understand that if they duplicate those efforts and they take a small sliver over everyone's work, then they're going to be in a really great position. It's called running a business. Okay. Not just being an operator, but being an owner. Now, the difference between EXP's model and all the other ones is simply they cut you in on the deal, agent. That's it. That's why it pains me when we talk about the numbers. When agents are like, well, just I want to know the splits, the fees, is there a cap? And they go, thank you. That's all I needed to know. It's like, no, you're wrong. I know the industry taught you that, and that was really smart of them to do so. But I'll give you an example, Cameron. In 2021, I haven't done it for for 2022. I haven't done it for 2023. In 2022, my effective commission split was 163%.
Oh,
So when people are like, oh, what's your split 80/20? It's like, yeah, but if you really want to look at it that way, I can show you how if I look at my effective numbers, I made more than what I sold and paid on my $16,000 cap. Well, how is that
mm,
possible? Because EXP offers a compensation model that makes it possible, and you're operating from a place that will never make that possible. Even when
mhm,
agents come at me, I'm at 100% split. Well, let's talk about your fees because I can promise you it's not 100%. Where I can show I've actually made 163%. But if you don't understand why that's possible, that's the problem. You're not understanding that there are different compensation models now in real estate, which will allow you to do what? Do what you're already doing. Go and sell
mhm,
real estate. Continue to be amazing for your clients. Build your production. But there's a model that'll actually pour into you so that you can continue to build something so that by the time your career is done, you have something more to show for it than the commissions that you went out there and earned.
mhm,
That was the problem Glenn Sanford sought to fix when he created EXP Realty. It's really
mhm.
that simple. This wasn't some grand scheme to go and recruit agents from their brokers. It was someone who genuinely wanted to level up the agent and say, I don't want to treat you like just an agent. I want to treat you like a partner. That's what this model was built on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's growing and growing.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
why it's the fastest, because when agents really understand the value proposition, they transition over here. Even
Mhm,
independent brokerages and some people who are running a franchise, when they're out of that agreement and they look at that model, for a lot of them, it's when they shed the ego and go, if my legacy here is really to help my agents, because a lot of them say that, but not a lot of them live it. But when they shed the ego and they go, if I'm really serious about that, why wouldn't I come and bring my agents to a brokerage where all of them get to benefit the same way that I have?
mm,
And if they
mhm.
find themselves in that place, then a lot of them will make that transition.